Kristin Tate is a contributor at The Hill newspaper, also the author of the book, Government Gone Wild.
Before we knew all the facts about the shooter, including how he got his gun, before we had a chance to pay our respect to the families who lost loved ones, before the bodies were even cold, the media used this tragic event to flagrantly push politics.
That's my
Trump
sense
is
of it.
ratings gold. The ratings are up on these anti-Trump shows because liberal snowflakes, who still won't accept that Trump is our president, by the way, need TV safe spaces where they can just hear their own opinions reflected back at them over and over again.
The fact that Trump has business experience is why everyone loves him. That's what the people want. And now Democrats are mad that Ivanka might be giving her dad advice. If that is the biggest criticism that Democrats have of I can guarantee you he will be reelected in a landslide. I am a girl who doesn't know a lot about football, but I do know an ungrateful jerk when I see one. And look, he's just a very misguided man who does not have the maturity to handle his fame. I mean, he's acting like a stupid, spoiled 13-year-old boy who just wants attention. And the left loves saying that Donald Trump's tweets aren't presidential. They're right, it's not presidential, but that's why people voted for Trump. This is no ordinary president. People wanted a fighter, someone who wouldn't be afraid to go to Washington, D.C., flip over the table, and stick it to the media that middle America has come to really despise. The media and the left has used this tragic shooting as a political opportunity to demonize Donald Trump, guns, gun owners, the GOP, and the NRA. The narrative seems to be that Donald Trump and the GOP are somehow complicit in the mass murder of our school children. As Rahm Emanuel once said, never let a good crisis go to waste. Rich countries like the United States agreed to give $100 billion to poor countries to help them transition to green energy. Obama committed $3 billion. Guess how much China committed? $0. And they are the biggest polluters in the world. This was an America Last policy, and Americans are very glad that Trump pulled us out. There seems to be this elitist attitude that the only places in the country that matter are the coasts, and I think it's that exact smug attitude that caused them to lose readership and ultimately caused Trump to win the election. Well, I never thought I would hear liberals concerned about Trump not locking Hillary up. But look, this is all about narrative, right? Of course, Trump alone does not have the power to hold Hillary accountable. It's all about bringing the country together. That's what he's doing right now. The New York Times, they're not changing anyone's mind. I mean, the only people who read that anymore are like latte-sipping liberals in the Upper East Side who are already deep in the Democratic Party. The New York Times, the Washington Post, a lot of these outlets have just basically become spin-offs of Mother Jones. In the 2016 primary, Trump stomped out 16 candidates, all of whom the media told us had a better shot at the nomination. He won without any support from the media, with little support from leaders in his own party because the voters supported him. They do to this day. And if Jeff Flake or any of his colleagues try to run against Trump, they will end up defeated and humiliated. So to Jeff Flake, I say, good luck. Yeah. Nobody should be above the law, including Hillary Clinton. Justice should be blind. Justice doesn't know your last name. It doesn't know if you ran for president. American people don't want political experience. That's what we've learned in this election. They want outsiders. Trump is going to get doers, people who have experience in the real world. Look at the Trump organization. He always hires the best of the best. Sadly, these snowflake parents think with their hearts and not their heads. They've got to stop giving their kids trophies for waking up in the morning and start giving them incentives to actually be self-sufficient. You know, when you let your kids, your 23-year-old kid, live at home, use your credit card, stay on the family phone plan indefinitely, your kid's going to get comfortable being lazy. You know, on International Women's Day, we should be celebrating women who are strong, independent, and hardworking. And the women in the White House embody all of these characteristics. And if they were Democrats, the media would worship them and point to them as shining role models for young women. But because they work for the Trump administration, they are regularly smeared, their characters are trashed. He said, as president of the United States, he puts the safety and security of his own people first. And I think it's also important to note that the final words of his speech were "God bless the United States of America." In 2009 in Cairo, Obama's closing statements included a quote from the Quran. I mean, that is really a great way to encapsulate the differences between these two men. The sexism card is always the last refuge for liberals with no arguments. This is the same stuff that we've been hearing from Hillary Clinton and her people for months now, that she lost the election because she's a woman, not because she was a terrible candidate who couldn't connect
with voters. I also thought Trump made a mistake in his statement saying that Bannon had nothing to do with his win. I mean, that's nonsense. When Bannon came into the campaign, it was a disaster. Manafort had no idea how to control a candidate who was so unconventional like Trump. Bannon came in there. He knew to let Trump be Trump. He knew how to connect Trump to his base. And when he was in the White House, Bannon served as probably Trump's strongest tie to his own base. And since day one, the liberal media has exhausted itself trying to vilify Donald Trump and everyone who works for him, including and especially Steve Bannon. I don't even know why Susan Collins calls herself a Republican. She's consistently fighting against conservative values and against Donald Trump. And quite frankly, when Susan Collins says something, it means about as much to me as when Chuck Schumer says something. I mean, I give them the same credence. But you're right. You know, the establishment GOP is just as much a threat to the Trump agenda as the far left-wing progressives are.